Hey, you guys, I'm just going to do a super fast video to show you some things that really you should have learned in probably elementary school or maybe middle school. I don't have time to cover them in class, but I will count off for them. So just wanted to give you a quick review in case you need it. I don't want you to miss something basic. So this is my elementary picture of when you first might have learned to add and multiply. And we use those little flashcards. 2 plus 2 is 4, and 4 times 3 is 12. Notice there's a line right there. We use lines a lot on financial statements in accounting. And for some reason, I think because financial statements are new to a lot of students, they throw students off. They forget to put them. They don't know what they're for, but they're for the same thing that we first learned them in elementary school. It just means that anything above this line, we are, in this case, adding, but now we call it netting. And so netting can be adding or subtracting. Anything above this line here, we are multiplying. So the result, the answer is below the line, and the information above the line tells you what we did to get to the answer. So that's all a single underline means in accounting is what's going on above the line is the facts, the information I took in. Below the line is the answer. We do learn a new kind of line in accounting, and it's the double underline. A double underline means this is my answer. This is my final answer. And on a financial statement, kind of draws readers' eyes to usually what's the most important thing on the financial statement. For an income statement, it would be net income. Have all these revenues minus all these expenses. What I'm left with below the single line is my answer. And then I double underline that answer. Okay, the other things I wanted to go over are that a dollar sign goes before a number. It does not go after a number. If you put it after the number, I will count off. Commas, if you have 3 zeros or 3 numbers, and then you add a fourth number to get to the thousands place, ones, tens, hundreds, thousands, we put a comma there. It just makes it easier to read. Once you get a number like a million, it's hard to read that if we don't have those commas there. So make sure if you get to a thousands place, you add a comma. And every time you add another thousand, 3 zeros or numbers of any kind, you need to put a comma. I'll count off if you don't have those as well. Okay, last thing is percentages and decimals. So if you haven't worked with those for a while, they're not hard. I think people just kind of forget them if you haven't used them for a while. So I have some basic numbers here. I have $4,000 divided by $7,000. If you use your calculator, you will come out with this number, 0.57142857. Whether it's on my test or in your Connect homework or in real life, how you present this number depends on what the question is asking. If it just gives you no instructions, then here's my full answer. But if it says, turn this to a percentage, do you remember how to do that? You can either take this number and multiply it by 100 on your calculator, or you just move the decimal point 2 places. So a percentage would be 57.142857, and you'd have to put a percent sign behind it, or else that would be the wrong answer. So these two numbers mean the exact same thing. If you start with a percentage and you need to turn it to a decimal, then you move your decimal point 2 places to the left, okay? Now, what about rounding? Y'all know how to round. Again, I think you just haven't used it for a while. So I have a lot of students that miss these, and I wanted to go over that real quick. If you want to round something, it depends on how many places you need to round it to. So let's look at this decimal number right here. If the problem said leave it as a decimal, but round it to only 2 numbers, then my answer would be 0.57, because I look at this number and go, does that make the 7 go up? If this number is a 5 or greater, it would cause us to round to 0.58. But if it's lower than a 5, it does not cause us to round up to 0.58, and our answer is just 0.57. So what if it said round this to 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 numbers? Would my answer just be 0.57? 142? No, because we look at the sixth number and that tells us whether or not we round this up. If it's 5 or greater, we do. And sure enough, that's an 8. So I would, if they're wanting me to carry this out to 5 numbers, my answer would be 0.5714. Now I round it up. Okay, does that make sense? Percentage, again, we do the same thing. If it says, express your answer as a percentage, then you need to figure out how to make it a percent and then carry it to 2 decimal places. My answer would be 57.14%. So just reading carefully, again, especially in Connect, a lot of times if you see them put things in red, that's not really talking about the information in the problem. It's talking about formatting of the problem, how they want you to format it. And I'll tell you on a test, if I'm wanting you to make it a percent or a decimal, we'll learn that certain terms we're learning in business, like gross profit percentage, needs to be expressed as a percent, not a decimal. So you'll learn that. Just wanted to make sure you remember all of this. And again, don't forget your commas and your dollar signs. Okay, I think that's it.